Delayed gratification is probably one of the most powerful skills that you can implement into your life. And we're not only seeing this in just regular day life, but we're even seeing this in actual finances. Now, delaying gratification is pretty simple. Instead of trying to get something now to feel all giddy because you made a lot of money or because it makes you happy, you obviously delay it for something in the future, right? Maybe it's going to appreciate in value. Maybe you're going to be in a much better position where you're actually going to be able to handle whatever that thing is or that sum of money that's going to come into your life. And ideally, you're going to use it for the right reasons. Now, specifically in the finance sector, delaying gratification is just not cashing out instantaneously. It's consistently investing. It's putting in a little bit every single day, every single month, every single year, so that nest egg continues to grow over time. And ideally, as you continue to delay gratification, it's well now worth 10 times what it was when you first invested. Unfortunately, many people just don't have the patience to delay gratification. We live in a world where everything must happen now. We must have that shiny thing right now. We must go on this vacation right now, or we must buy this thing right now so we can make a lot more money overnight. And unfortunately, more often than not, what ends up happening is people end up losing it all. However, in the crypto sector, that has actually changed. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, Hex is probably the first project to do something like delaying gratification, because the whole concept of Hex is to obviously buy it, stake it, and then cash out, or whenever your stake unlocks, that's when you're going to be able to take profit. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, Hex is a cryptocurrency project. It was created by Richard Hart. Now, full disclaimer, I've actually done like a couple videos before of Hex and Richard Hart where I was talking quite negatively about it. And then after obviously doing more research, I came to the conclusion that, hey, there wasn't really need for me to be like, so angry and so spiteful of it. So it's my apology, obviously, that I was wrong about it. Now, Hex has seen some tremendous growth, but we're also going to be taking a look at another project that is doing something very similar to Hex, but potentially has 10 times more upside at the moment. Now, if we come to CoinGecko and actually take a look at Hex, as we can see, really since ever Hex had first come out, it has done a pretty crazy return. I mean, we're talking, it came out back at late 2019 where it was well under a penny, and it went on to hit as high as 48 cents. And even on Uniswap, I believe it did get up to almost 50 cents. So Hex has actually done some crazy returns. And I know people personally where they put, a couple $100 into Hex and they turned it into tens of thousands. Now, today we're going to be looking at another project that has a very similar concept to Hex, where the idea is to obviously buy it and stake it for a long period of time. However, it is doing it in a nonprofit organization, and it is doing it for a much bigger cause than just delaying gratification. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a look at Texan Token. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm not affiliated with Texan Token. This is not a sponsored video. Me and Brandon and Matt, more specifically Brandon, have actually been in contact with him. Me and Brandon have been very good friends on Twitter. We've actually done a couple of live streams together, and I've known about Texan for a while. And I just mentioned that, hey, I am happy to do a video for you guys. So again, this is not affiliated in any way. There's no sponsorship, nothing like that. It's gonna be my unbiased review. I don't even own any Texan Token myself, but hopefully that's probably gonna change after this video. So, as you can see right here, it says Texan Token is a new crypto endowment token which stands as a financial symbol of independence and self-determination. And they have a really good video that pretty much explains this, so let's give it a watch.
To all the people of Texas and all Texans in spirit across the world. As a free and independent people, driven by love and compassion for our fellow man, we appeal to your sense of destiny, to come together, to become the catalyst for true freedom and self-determination. The Texan Token is the first endowment contract on the blockchain, which enables users to lock up financial principal to earn interest. The Texan contract features a base rate of return paid in Texan tokens of 5% annually. Those who stake or lock their tokens for longer receive higher yields. Like traditional endowments, the Texan Smart Contract enables interest scraping without penalty. This feature provides flexibility for those who choose the Texan Token to secure their future. We desire for anyone from any corner of the earth who believes it is time to stand up and declare their personal independence to join together as we build a better future for our families, our communities, and our posterity. The time is now. The Texan Token is not just for those who live in the great state of Texas, because Texas is not just a state. It's a state of mind.
So there you go. It was a pretty informative video, pretty much, did the job that I was trying to do right now. But we're going to go over a couple of things that they mentioned, obviously what's an endowment, interest scraping, and, how some of this yield is being paid out because, a lot of people are still very brand new to crypto. So when you start throwing things around, like interest scraping or, yield and staking, not to say that, what they're doing is wrong. It's just a lot of people are not going to understand it. So there is like a pretty decent learning curve that still does have to happen for regular day people that are not only getting into, cryptocurrency, but even into Web3 because Texan Token, it's something that you are going to obviously have a MetaMask, approved transactions, have Ethereum, and then it's also going to be in Pulse chain, things like that. So it is a bit of a learning curve. So I do want to, cover some of the things that they did mention in that. Now, obviously, the biggest thing that they mentioned and the biggest thing with Texan Token is it is an endowment. And to be honest, personally, I've never heard of an endowment up until now because, well, school doesn't teach us about these things because this is obviously one of the few ways, as a company or even as a non-profit, you can actually make money. So it says right here, an endowment is a structure for managing and in many cases indefinitely perpetuating a pool of financial investments for a specific purpose according to the will of its founders and or donors. Endowments are often structured so that the principal value is kept intact while the investment income is available for use each year. So meaning, obviously, whatever money that you had invested, it's always going to be there. The value's ideally, going to be staying the same. And then whatever yield or whatever interest you've been generating on it, you're going to be able to, tap into that. Now, there's obviously going to be a certain amount. You can't just, tap into all the interest that you've earned. And it breaks it down well right here. So endowments are structures managed by nonprofit charitable organizations. Thousands of organizations worldwide use endowments to secure their future with sound investments. Endowments by design are meant to create sustainability for an organization, mission, and operations. And if you also do come to Investopedia, endowments typically per se happen at the university level. Like a lot of universities tend to have endowments, because then people can invest into things like the education, the technology, some of the events that are happening there. But it also does extend into regular nonprofits as well. And as you can see right here, it says endowments tend to be organized as a trust, private foundation, or public charity. And the way that Texan Token is doing it is they're doing it in a public charity fashion. And then as you can see right here, like it says, when you stake your Texan tokens by locking them up in an endowment contract, you earn interest or yield, which is programmed into the contract. The base rate is 5% annually, but can reach a maximum annual average of 87% if you stake for 22 years. So the way that it works is like it says right there, if you stake for the minimum amount, which, is probably going to be 1 year, you're going to earn 5% on the stake that you're going to earn 5% yield on the stake. So let's say if you stake, $1,000, you're going to earn $50 by the end of the year. But obviously, the longer that you stake it, well, then you're obviously going to earn a lot more yield on it. At the same time, what you're not also taking into account is the appreciation of Texan Token. So if we do come over here and take a look at Dex Screener, this is the actual chart of Texan Token. I'm sure they're going to be launching on TradingView maybe here in the coming weeks and months. But, since its launch, Texan Token has actually went up and rallied about a 6x. But right now it's sitting at about a 3.5x since the bottom of, let's say earlier this year in January. So the goal is obviously, let's say, if you're buying in now and, you're delaying your gratification, you have a very long stake. Ideally, since wherever you got in with your stake, it's going to be slowly creeping up in the next couple of years here. So not only are you earning yield, but at the same time, the tokens that you bought and staked are also appreciating in value. So this is where staking, can come in to be very beneficial. Like it says right here, interest yield is paid in Texan Token through the sole interaction with the Texan smart contract. And Texan is true DeFi. The Texan contract is immutable, and there are no admin keys. It's just you and your contract. And no, you don't have to be a Texan, like they said, to actually participate in Texan Token. It's obviously available to anybody around the world. But I actually used to live in Texas. I lived in Dallas for about a year, and when they say, Texas is a state of mind, like it really is. Like there's a reason we hear these things about Texas here in the States. Everything is bigger in Texas and whatever else. Like Texas, literally itself could be its very own nation, which, I was going to maybe talk about that as well a little bit. There is this movement going on called Texit, where basically, Texas is trying to, in a way, secede again. Like it says right here, Texas is a term used to refer to Texas exiting the Union and becoming an independent self-governing nation. It's not Texit is not Texas independence. Rather, Texit is the process that gets Texas to independence. Texit means that Texans determine their own laws and not 2.5 million unelected bureaucrats in Washington. It means that we get a government that begins and ends at the borders of Texas. And it also means to the end of the giant sucking sound of $100 to $160 billion per year being siphoned from the pockets of Texas taxpayers. So there is this movement happening as well. If you're a Texan watching this video, maybe you can comment down below. Let me know if you guys think that this will pass, but it will be interesting to see. But again, this video is mainly about Texan Token. So as we can see, secure your future with decentralized finance. It's obviously immutable. So nobody owns the admin keys, not Brandon, not Matt. And what's also really cool is you can actually, meet the team as well, which is, they're fully doxed, which is really good to see. It's always a little bit, worrisome when maybe the team is in docs, as you see Matt and Brandon are kind of like the main figures of Texan Token. They're always the ones, doing a lot of the live streams. They got into Hex as well back in the day. And this is also, the concept of Hex is, what really pushed them and pursued them to, create Texan Token. And then we have Ray Rastelli and Ryan Hungate. So there you go. These guys are fully doxed, and you can talk to them at any moment on Twitter. They both do a really good job of getting back to, any type of comment, any type of question, things like that. Trustless yield, earn interest and yield with no counterparty risk. So interest scraping, users can choose to scrape earned interest at any time without penalty. So typically what we see with DeFi protocols is, when you're earning this yield, there's usually some sort of penalty for either unstaking or trying to, take some of this yield or the rewards that you've earned. But it is nice to see that you can now access a lot of the interest that you've been generating, throughout the year without any penalty. So let's say, maybe some unforeseen event came in, or maybe you just like to, cash out some of your yields, some of your reward on a monthly or quarterly or yearly basis, whatever it is. It is nice to see that there isn't going to be per se a penalty, because a lot of these other DeFi protocols, whether it's something like Texan or just anything in general, there's always some sort of like penalty for just, like I said, trying to get some of your rewards. Maybe they charge you like a 10% fee for unstaking early or tapping into your yield. So it is really nice to see that, again, there is no penalty there. So it's just really like, it's easy to use and you can do whatever you want pretty much with your stake in any given moment. And obviously it's deflationary. So Texan token supply is fixed at 100 trillion tokens and only deflates as penalties accrue. So that's maybe the only downside with Texan token as of right now, is the fact that the max supply is quite high. As you can see, it is sitting at 100 trillion tokens. However, again, there's obviously going to be a burning mechanism, and a lot of the interest, or I should say all the interest rewards, they get paid out in Texan token. So ideally, if you bought Texan very early on and you have a very long stake, which they have a calculator to look at, you're going to be earning, some pretty good rewards there. And ideally, as Texan is increasing in value, not only because people are buying it and staking it, but at the same time, as these rewards are getting paid out in Texan token, this should push the price of Texan, quite high, in the coming years. And then as we can see, token type, it's obviously going to be, it's on the Ethereum chain right now, and it will be on the Pulse chain network as well once it launches. 5% base annual interest, 87% annual maximum interest. Total supply is 100 trillion, 97% is locked in the contract. And if you do come over here to Etherscan, this is the actual Texan token right here. It's obviously been audited. So as you can see, contract source code has been verified. And, if you're a tech type of person, you can look at all the code here. So if you want to play around with it, back check it, see, if this thing is legit or not, it's all there for you. And then, you could look at some of the real-time trades and transfers that are maybe happening as well. So yeah, maybe the only downside right now is that the circulating supply is quite high, but again, it should be coming down here, over the course of the next couple of years. And this is the reason why also is deflationary. So all penalties are going to be burned. So only about 3% of the supply goes to the donors, partners, and team. So, out of 100 trillion tokens, if I'm doing my math right, that's only 3 trillion tokens are actually put aside to the team. So that means, the rest of the tokens, it's all going to be out there for, us to invest into and get as rewards. No admin keys. It's going to be an immutable contract, and then audited code. It is audit certified. And then this is also one of the principal values as to why Texan was created. I call on you in the name of liberty, of patriotism, and everything clear to the American character to come to our aid with all dispatch, which is William Barrett Travis. I guess he was an American lawyer and soldier. Not too familiar with my history from back in the day. I did pretty well in history in school, but not so much these days. Let's take a look at global stats over here really quickly. Let's see, allocated supply is sitting at about 42 trillion at the moment. So there's almost about 5,000 stakes, which is pretty good. Only about 300 million penalties have been burned, so still a little bit on the lower end. I would like to see that as well. Pending endowment rewards. So this is actually how many rewards, are currently, going to be paid out here. I'm not sure in the time frame, but it says about 39 million rewards are going to be paid out, or 39 trillion rewards are going to be paid out, which is pretty impressive. Total principal staked, so about a little over 2 trillion tokens have been staked, and then about another 57 trillion or 58 trillion tokens worth of endowments can still be paid out. So that's really good to see. And then at the moment right now, the current liquid supply is about 845 billion Texan tokens. So yeah, as you can see, there's still a lot of tokens that are floating around out there that can still be not only bought up, but obviously burned and paid out in endowment rewards as well. They do obviously have a white paper, so if you guys do want to give a read into that, again, it's very straightforward. It's nothing too fancy. If you are familiar with Hex, you're going to see that it's very similar to what Hex is doing, just obviously for a different reason and a slightly different operation. But again, the whole idea here is to delay this gratification. And then, Texan tokens obviously more also for like life, liberty, freedom, sovereignty, self-determination. So it's not just delaying gratification. You're also buying into, per se, a way of life. Literally, like they said, a Texas mindset is literally a way of life. So you can go ahead and give a read in here as well. It says right here, if a staker decides to end their principal stake early and they have served under 50% of their staking period, they're penalized 50% of their principal and 100% of their interest earned since last scrape. If a staker decides to end their stake early and they have served over 50% of their staking period, the penalty will be calculated based on how much time has been served thus far. The interest and principal collected as penalties for ending your stake early will be burned forever, creating a deflationary environment for Texan Token. So again, the interest scraping mainly applies to if you want to access some of the yield, whether it was the 5% or the 87% that you've had paid out. If you do decide to end your stake as a whole, yes, there's obviously going to be a penalty, but that is just typical really with any type of DeFi protocol. And then as you can see, they have a donation phase, token allocation, and then this is the actual table of interest yield in the contract. And then again, this is ideally, what the expectation is going to be with Texan Token, in the coming years. Or if you were to actually buy into it, let's say up to year 22, if you were to stake it for 22 years, the first year you get 5% reward, the second year 6%, and then obviously the longer out that you go, the more interest and yield you're going to be getting paid out. So it says right here, come year 22, you could have up to about 236 percent yield that would have been paid out to you. Now, it's also really cool is they do have a couple of videos here, going over, obviously they have a whole Texan Tokenomics deep dive. Matt did this. It's well over for an hour. He basically breaks everything down. There was a whole entire Q&A that happened in here. So if you do really want to, read into it, look into it, you could go ahead and give this a watch here.
Hexologist, doctor is in.
Let me just bring this down. But yeah, so Matt actually did a whole entire video going over Texan Token here. So again, fully transparent. Again, I'm not invested in it at the moment now. There's no, compensation here. It's not a sponsored video. I'm just, doing it just because it's a very interesting project. But I will be looking to probably, get into this maybe in the coming weeks here. I do want to maybe see a price come down a little bit. That would be really nice to see. Like I mentioned, Texans, kind of having a bit of a pullback. So maybe if it falls down to this point, O2 level, maybe I could look to pick some up. Not sure how long for I'd stake it. Maybe it'd be for a year, maybe not. That'll be kind of on my own terms. And yeah, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter. That's where I'll be giving out a lot of my, updates with what I'm doing with Texan Token. So go ahead, give me a follow on Twitter there. And then, like I mentioned, you can give a follow to Brandon over to Rags to Riches, and then Crypto Heartbeat as well. I think maybe he retweeted him. I could actually pull it up for you guys as well. And then, yeah, this is Matt, Crypto Heartbeat. So he's actually the founder of Texan Token. Him and Brandon both founded together. So go ahead and give him a follow on there as well. But in terms of Texan Token, I mean, it's pretty much it. There's nothing fancy. Good things don't have to be fancy. Now let's kind of get into it, how you would actually buy it. So if you come over here, so if you actually come to the token section and you click on buy swap, it'll take you to this page right here. You're going to need a MetaMask for that. So make sure to watch some of my previous videos or just watch a MetaMask tutorial on YouTube to actually find out how to, get Texan Token, get Ethereum. So you're actually going to be creating an endowment. Okay. So this is like that nonprofit contract that you're going to be buying into. And then in here, you get to pick obviously how much Texan Token you want to stake, and then how many days you're going to stake it for. So the first thing is, like I said, you're actually going to have to buy Texan Token. So you have to do this on Uniswap, and then you would come back to the page, to this page right here, to create your endowment. So Uniswap is really the only exchange that they have it on right now, and it's good because it's the most liquid. You can do it with USDC or wrapped Ethereum. Probably, personally, I mean, Ethereum will be the most liquid, but it does look like that USDC has been getting a lot more interest, and it's getting a lot more liquidity as a lot more people want to have the stablecoin version as well. So here you go, guys. Once you get to Uniswap, just make sure you connect your wallet, and then what we can do is come in here. Obviously, just go back to CoinGecko and make sure to copy the contract address. That's the best way to ensure you have the right token. We'll paste it in there, and it should come up, or it'll ask you to import the token, regardless of whichever one it does. Just obviously make sure to add it, and then you could go ahead with the swap. My computer's running a little slow here, so that's why it's not loading up. But yeah, it'll be in there, and then you'll be able to swap it. And then once you do that, you want to make sure that you obviously add Texan Token to your MetaMask, and then you can come back in here and actually go ahead and stake Texan Token. So you would you'd have to connect your wallet. It'll probably ask you to do either your MetaMask, or they create, or you can even use your Coinbase wallet. But regardless of whichever one you do, and then so in here, you'll then come in here, type in how much Texan you want to stake, and then you get to pick for how long you want to do it. So remember, the first year you'll get a base annual yield of 5%, and then the further out you go, if you go up to years, 22 years, you can get a 87% yield, which is pretty crazy. Now, I would be interested to see what is the average stake term. I haven't really looked into it that deeply yet. I'm sure maybe if I ask Brandon, he'd be able to let me know. Or Brandon, if you're watching this video, just let me know down below. But for instance, like with Hex, the average stake term was 5 years. Personally, if you are going to be doing a stake, I would always recommend it to do it at the very bottom of the bear market. It is a little per se risky to stake something during a bull market, because kind of what we saw happen over the last year in the crypto market, especially when things do take a turn for the worse. A lot of liquidity issues arise, and people that kind of have something staked, they end up pretty much getting stuck because maybe their initial stake already dropped in value too much, or there's literally too much liquidity issues that they can't even unstake it. So if you were to do something for a very long time, if you were to do something for a very short period of time, I would wait until the bottom of the bear market, which maybe would be at the end of this year or early 24, and then look to maybe stake for 2 or 3 years. Again, not financial advice. That's kind of like what my strategy would be. If you are somebody who's like a true Texan Token believer and a Texan, and you want to get that 87%, then you can go ahead and do, the 22 years. This would obviously be probably either for something like retirement, college kids, college fund, anything like that. So that's going to be kind of up to you with how long you're looking to stake there. But that's pretty much it in terms of Texan, guys. I mean, it's nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy, really simple. It's an endowment project. The whole concept, again, here is to delay gratification and to, get into something that is obviously completely trustless. It is true DeFi, and over a period of time is only going to be appreciating in value. The supply is going to be dwindling because they have a burning mechanism, and you get your rewards paid out in Texan Token. And who knows, they might add a governance token as well. We don't know yet, but Brandon and Matt are very cool guys. I've talked to both of them. I'm sure that I'll be doing another live stream with Brandon, and maybe we'll be talking about Texan Token and this video. Matt actually asked me to do a little bit of twerking in my video. Unfortunately, Matt, I won't be able to do that for you right now. I don't got the music playing. Let me see if I can find that tweet that I put out. But Texan community showed up, man. I got to give it to you guys. Texan community did show up. I'm very, very impressed by that. I made this post only a couple days ago. Was this 2 days ago? And yeah, Texan community showed up like crazy. 14 retweets, 134 likes, 7,000 views. And then let's see if I can find that. Yeah, a lot of people started posting a lot of memes. We got cowboy memes. A lot of people were very excited to get that news that I'll be making the video. And they showed up. A lot of Chuck Norris memes, which was good to see. And then Matt actually made a really good comment here. He said, somebody earlier said there's always people who want to take advantage of the Hex community and their following. Not all are dishonest, but still, again, no one's taking advantage of any community here. And Matt went on to say that imagine sitting at the feet of a guru and not learning anything. Some will create, some will critique. The choices in all of our hands. How will you contribute? And exactly, again, a lot of people notice that what Texan Token is doing is very similar to Hex, and Matt makes a very good point here. is, Richard Hart, he literally has revolutionized crypto. Maybe he does have a shady past. Maybe there are some things with, Hex that are still a little bit kind of wishy-washy that people are trying to figure out. Again, we kind of have to give it the benefit of the doubt. There's a saying that obviously Hex is a scam, or all these other cryptos are scams. Well, look, technically, if you look at everything in life, it is a scam. Everything's a scam. College is a scam. Banking is a scam, right? However, if you're early enough to the scam and you're aware of the risks, you can still make money. And why are we in crypto? Because we want to make money. It's as simple as that. But what Matt is saying here is, Richard Hart is a guru, and there's a lot of things that they learned from him. And why would they not want to then go and implement some of the strategies and some of the tactics that he's used to help him create something, as successful and profitable as Hex, and obviously maybe do it in a bit of a different light. And that's what they did with Texan Token. And then, Brandon said, please include twerking lessons for Matt. And then he said, check out my new ebook, 7 twerking tricks for men over 50. I'm not over 50 there, Matt. I still got some ways to go. Still got at least 25 years until that happens. But yeah, guys, that's my review on Texan Token. Matt and Brandon, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And yeah, as always, guys, if you appreciate this type of content, leave a like. If not, leave some constructive criticism in the comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next one.